All right.
Oh,
We made it.
we made it. It's all happening.
We're so excited. We're here with Mel Frank.
Thank you so much, Mel Frank, for coming
Mel,
to join us.
Mel Frank has dropped by this morning.
Right.
Come by.
Well, I
help
live
us.
3 minutes away, so it's not too bad. This is really simple because it's late in the year. We're now August 1st is tomorrow, which means these plants are going to flower naturally right now. Okay, so they're not going to grow a big root system.
Gotcha.
Okay, so 5 gallons is more than enough. You can get away with like 2 gallons, easy. And you might think of that because this here is a standard bag. That's about a 1.5 gallon, 1.5 cubic feet, I think, which would figure out to be, let's see, 1 cubic foot. It's a little more than 10 gallons. All right, so you could fill 2 of these.
Okay.
For that. This is, and that's, I would just put it directly in that. I don't think you need to put anything else in there because of the short season that you have. Put this
Gotcha.
under it. Otherwise,
okay.
everything's just going to fall out. Right?
All right, let's start with, fill it all up. Or...
Let's see if we can get stuff in.
4.
Easy, easy, easy. All right, here we go. That's good, that's good. See, ordinarily, if you were starting in the spring, where you're going to get some big plants, there'd be things that you would put in here. You'd add some more fertilizers, basically.
Well, we'll have you come back in February.
Right. But you can just, if they actually did need additional fertilizer, you could just, buy some liquid thing.
Right.
And do it that way.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing you do, even though the soil has a little moisture in it, you want to water this whole thing.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we happen to have some water right here.
Now, we had a conversation
Spring?
with some
Yeah,
of our
but-
folks. Some said spring, some said distilled,
Yeah.
reverse osmosis. What's the best?
Well, reverse osmosis and distilled should basically be the same.
Gotcha.
Pretty much, right.
How do you handle, you certainly don't buy spring water for your plants.
No, I don't, but I do use distilled water when I'm starting my seeds
Okay.
and for cloning.
Ah, okay.
Just because the water here is kind of alkaline, and it has,
Want some gloves?
Yeah, you want some gloves?
yeah, that's okay. I'm used to it. So this is starting to settle in some more. So now it's just a matter of which one you want to do. This
Yeah,
one?
let's do this one. He's crying for she's crying for some room.
A new pad.
All right, so let's get a little more water down right here. Yeah, you always want to make sure you're putting the plant into something that's nice and moist.
All right, cool.
You take
Thank
a
you.
little marker out,
Awesome.
put it in there, so you always
know what it is.
you got it is. Put this little guy right in there, or girl. We hope it is a girl, right?
It
It's
is
a
a
girl.
girl.
It's a girl.
Okay.
It's off of a
Actually, we
mother.
Go a little bit deeper there. There we go. All right. Just pack this around there, and do the same thing again.
All right.
Wash my hands at the same time.
Uh-huh.
There you go. All right. Usually with a new pot, I put some in here.
Oh, really?
Just let it draw up, and make sure that you have water that's all throughout the whole pot.
Okay.
Okay, so that will just come right up in a matter of hours.
Right. And how often should I water it?
Well, you should feel it.
Okay.
And if it feels dry, an inch down or so, you definitely water it. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to keep it moist, but you don't want to drown it.
Okay.
You got nice open area. It's not heavy shade at all. You're still getting light through here. And then this amount of sunlight's going to be fine.
Great.
Yeah. If we were starting off, earlier in the year, I would, suggest one thing I would put here is if you can find a little piece of rotting wood.
Rotting wood.
Right. The rotting wood just provides a huge reservoir of microbe activity. In fact, if you're digging a hole in the ground, it's also perfect.
Dig a hole, put some rotten wood in the bottom.
Yep.
Put your plant in.
Well,
your soil.
Put your dirt in.
Put your dirt in first.
And your amendments, you might.
Your amendments.
put some
Believe me, this would
manure
need a
or-
lot of amendments. This soil. And we have gophers. What do you do about your
got
gophers?
The gophers, you have to cage them.
Cage
them.
them.
Yeah.
Gotta catch them and cage them?
Yeah, they make cages, but I always made my own out of chicken wire. I doubled it and just made a thing like that, and just make it
That was
form.
enough?
And it's enough. You just want to keep an area about that much,
Yeah.
so that they don't actually get to the base of your plant, which is just kill it.
They do have a little dirt coming
You
out.
guys really are novices
Yes.
here, right? That's every step of the way here. I got to watch you, right?
Every single step. I mean, really, we are not,
Right.
we do not know from this at all.
Okay.
But boy, I can move furniture.
No.
No,
We're going to-
newspaper.
Right.
Babe, do you have any newspaper? Okay, cool.
White is nice,
All right, cool.
right? And then we can just put this one in there.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
All right. Now we want to get much more. You want
More.
to leave like this one here, that height
Is good.
is good, but in actuality, once we water it, it's going to settle a little bit, so you'll need a little more soil in there.
All right. That, and I want to make a hole in it.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. That's the last thing.
All right.
Now let's just burn this down a little bit, because it's going to do that as soon as we water it.
All right.
All right, let's just water this thing down.
All right.
There you go. All right. That'll work.
My godfather was an amazing gardener. Incredible, amazing. But we didn't spend a lot of time together.
So which one? We want to put this one next?
Sure.
Uh,
And is this all these
Get the
little
idea.
thingies good?
Well,
Or
no,
how can we fix
that's
it?
why I looked at that
Yeah.
immediately, because I thought you might have some sort of insect there, an aphid. Aphids
Yeah.
could do that. But it's fine. I mean, not every leaf is going to be perfect.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that. You have to.
Okay, cool.
But you do, as a matter of course, and you would, whenever you see anything that's abnormal,
Yeah.
you always look underneath, see if you see anything
Okay.
crawling around. Here. And best is if you have some sort of magnification with you, that also helps.
Oh, look at that.
So
I just have this in my pocket.
I always have something in my pocket. Right?
Wow.
But
How come you wanna?
Okay.
Yeah, come see.
because some of them are really small, some of them are
Bugs.
microscopic, but I don't see anything moving.
All right, let's see.
Wow.
You can get little magnification things that'll go up to 60 times that are just handheld and they're
Awesome.
illuminated.
Oh, far out.
Yeah,
All
all
right.
these plants are going to be very happy to be transplanted.
Yes, they're gonna be very
They're-
happy.
They're kind of big for those little pots.
Tiny tinies.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks nice and.
Well, what you
nice
can
and
always
wet.
do is this. You put this
Uh-huh.
in here to say, hey, have I got enough room there?
All right, cool.
Here we go. All right, let's put a little more dirt in here,
A little
too.
more dirt.
Yeah.
There we
Here, I'll bring this down.
go. Okay, perfect.
Very good. I think that's it.
All right.
A little too much.
That's right.
Yeah, you want to leave some lip there so that when you're watering it, it's not spilling off the sides, you know? The other thing is, if we were doing this at the beginning of spring, I would probably bury the stem some. As long as you get a nice big hole, I would do that. The other thing that I would do if I was planting this in the ground, in fact, you guys might invest in this, is you should buy some, what do you call it, tanglefoot.
Yes.
Okay, you know
Yes.
about tanglefoot?
Well, I heard you talk about tanglefoot,
Yeah.
so I want tanglefoot and the B something or other that you use.
Oh,
The BT.
the BT. You're going to
BT.
need that once the plants are starting to flower.
Okay.
But the tanglefoot, you just can put it right around the stem.
Uh-huh.
The other thing you can do, which I also do, is I'll take just a regular, 12-ounce cup, plastic cup, cut the bottom out of it, put it over the whole thing like this. Then I just put the tanglefoot on the top of the
Right.
cup, the rim of the cup.
Right.
And see what that does, it prevents anything from crawling up.
Yeah.
And the most important thing that you want to prevent are actually ants. Because what will happen is if you get a few aphids on here, or really almost any of those insects, scale they'll also do it with, the ants will farm them. They'll come up here, they'll start spreading them all over the place.
No.
Yeah, they can really get you a good infestation.
All right, good. So
very
we'll
good
get
at this
cup.
farming. So then
All right, cool.
we water this again.
All right. I need to pull a little thingy off of it.
And we'll put it under something. I mean, we'll put a plate under it.
Okay.
Now, since you have them in pots, one of the things you can do is, this actually feels pretty well watered already, but let's give it a little more.
Okay.
Is you can just, go right around the rim. That's it. That's good, right? Is you can tell also if you're inexperienced with how often they should be watered, you can just feel the pot.
Okay.
What kind of weight it has.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and if it was out of, if it had already used this water up, this would be much lighter than
Right,
this
right.
now.
More like this one, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, next to your friend over here.
I'm not sure this one here is going to do that well, except that the leaves look very healthy. But I don't like the discoloration here. You know, let's hope that's not, don't have fungus. I would like to see some of the roots coming out of the sides here. But like I say, the top part looks good. So we'll just do this. Okay, put the little marker in here. Oh, I've got to do this. Because you'll never remember if you're a
Yes,
stoner.
no, you'll never remember.
So we're going to put a little more in this.
A little more water, a little more dirt. Okay, cool.
Yeah, what is that? I mean,
We're city slickers that buy food at the store.
you guys got such a great place here to grow all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you would think, except they say the gophers get everything.
That's why you have to cage everything.
Cage, everything must be
Yeah.
caged.
Yeah. Sometimes they have no sidewalks at all. I started some late, about mid-July, and they're in 5 gallons. And the ones that I started earlier are in 15 gallons. And then most of my stuff's actually in the ground.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so,
All right. Really, with cages around them?
no.
No.
This is the first year I didn't use cages.
Okay.
Because I haven't had any problem in 10 years.
Okay, cool.
So they did get one of my plants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did.
All right. That happens.
It's a little embarrassing, but they did.
You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was
rendered to Caesar.
it was the plant that I planned on smoking this winter. Because I tried different things and never know how well they're going to turn out. I mean, it's all good, but I want something exceptional or really different.
Right.
Looking for that unique flavor and fragrance.
Where do you get your seeds?
They just come to me. I've
Right,
always
of
had
course
seeds.
they do. They just come to
No,
you.
back in the 70s, I had about 200 Landraces.
Right.
Yeah, and I lost all of those,
Yeah.
both on the east and west coast in 1983, and a couple of fluky things.
Yeah, flicky, rady kind of weird things.
Well, one was that basically most of my collection was in Oakland, and there was a fire coming up the hillside that approached what was my greenhouse, which was a shed with the roof taken off, and the firemen came and they broke down the door, took all the pot away, and I came home. Nobody was home at the time. I came home as the truck was leaving, and the street was wet, and all the neighbors were out there, and they all kept saying, "Boy, you were growing a lot of pot back there." They just kept bringing out these big black bags full of pot. So anyway, obviously I thought I was going to be busted.
Of course.
So I ran in, got my collection, filled 2 boxes with seeds, and brought it to a neighbor, and didn't go back for it for a few months. And when I did, instead of it being under his bed where he put it, he put it up in his attic. So that fried all those seeds.
Oh.
So that was that.
Oh.
Might as well have burned up in a fire.
My East Coast one, I had been there the summer before and had spent that summer pollinating and creating seeds from this huge grow. And so I wasn't going to partake the next year, but they called me in July because they were afraid they were going to lose this new crop. They had moved to a different place and was even bigger than the year before. Would have been I estimate about 2,000 pounds if they were successful.
Wow.
The year before they were successful and got over 500 pounds, and they should have just stayed there. It was a perfect place.
Yeah.
But they get greedy.
Greed.
They brought in a couple of dope dealers. who had
Greed.
no sympathy for or affection for pot at all, other than that it was a commodity that they could sell.
Right.
And so that's why one of the reasons I didn't go in on it with them. I didn't like the crew.
Right.
But anyway, so they had a terrible year. There was a drought in New York that year. They moved to a high elevation that had terrible soil. And they're wondering why they're not growing. They're kind of yellow and sickly. Well, they don't have any water and they don't have any nutrients here. You know? So I
Makes
set that
perfect
up
sense.
and got them growing. But what happened in terms of the seed collection is that when I got there, I got to the first, looked like actually a field of corn. It's very bad for camouflage, but I said, well, these here are doing pretty well. And I said, what are they? And he said, they're your seeds. I said, well, I figured they're my seeds, but which ones are they? He said, I don't know, I just mix them all together. What difference does it make? They're all great. And I was just like, oh my God, you know? And I didn't yet know that I was going to lose the collection back there. But I mean, I was heartbroken. That was a whole summer of work going down the drain. Actually, what happened, I had visited there a couple of times, and they never really gave me any information. I'll say that. They got a lot more information out of me than I got out of them.
Right.
They were, when I was back there in the mid-'70s, to me, they're just some organic chemists, basically. And they were good at organic chemistry, but not so good at growing pot. But what happened is that the head of the program there, Carlton Turner, who later became Reagan's drug czar, he just called me out of the blue and just said, listen, we're hearing that there's this stuff out there on the West Coast called Sinsemilla. I said, yeah. He said, is it possible that you can go around and collect, give me a sample of the buds and some seeds from that? So I didn't tell him that, well, Sinsemilla, it doesn't have any seeds. But I said, sure, I can do that. And the reason I said that was because the way I operated at that time is that I would grow a number of different varieties in this greenhouse I had, and I would pollinate all the females that looked like decent, good plants, and I'd just pollinate a few lower buds on each plant, enough to give me at least 100 seeds, 100 and 200 seeds. And then I would smoke test those plants over the winter and determine what's worth it and what isn't worth it.
That was your lab.
Right.
That was my lab. You
Yeah.
had to smoke test.
Yeah.
So anyway, I already had those because he called me at the end of 77. I already had all my little film canvases with a bud, unmanicured bud, that was full of seeds. So I was just going to give him samples from that, which is exactly what I did.
Right.
But also what I happened to have done that fall was I had pruned a Mexican plant, which I thought was, I had grown it before. It was a good, not fantastic. I wanted like kind of a representative cannabis plant. And I pruned it in such a way that I got about 7 or 8 really nice colas that were pretty much the same size. And I started a time study to see when it reaches its highest potency and what happens to it after that. Does it go down? Does it stay the same? So I took, I think it was about seven samples, 2 weeks apart, then 1 week apart when I thought I was near peak potency. So I also had those samples in there. So when I sent them the samples, I think I sent them 9 Landraces, and then the rest were all from this study. So I didn't tell him that, of course.
Right.
But I did this.
Wow.
I gave him this stuff on the stipulation that he would send me a complete cannabinoid breakdown of all the tests, right? Which he did do.
Oh.
So I learned some stuff from that.
Yeah.
But I gave him Cambodian, I gave him Thai, I gave him Afghani, I gave him Mexican, of course, a Chiba Colombian, Nigerian, Congolese. I gave him a nice mix.
Yeah, a good selection.
Right. So
Do you think the reason they only produce such swaggy weed is because they wish to skew tests on cannabis flower?
no,
No? You don't think
No.
they're that sinister?
no. I'd have to see the grow and what they're doing now to
Yeah.
determine that. They're probably just not really. They don't really care. You know, if they're got DEA blood in them, then they really don't want you testing it and saying how good it is, or they don't want to give scientists it and to actually give us some true information rather than the crap that they put out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's amazing how thoroughly they hid the real information on cannabis because, you know, it was used in this country and it was used, you know, for millennium in terms of medicine. But in the USA alone, I think there were over 100 scientific papers published on medicinal properties of cannabis tinctures in the 19th century.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and all that stuff was hidden.
Yeah.
I think when Jack Herrera went trying to do research, they claimed this stuff didn't exist.
Right.
You know, things like the movies and stuff that
Yeah.
they did on you know, Hemp for Victory and stuff like that. So I mean, the only way Jack got all that he did get was by just sneaking back into the stacks himself and finding his stuff.
Yes.
So right now, hemp, the majority is being grown for the CBD.
Right.
Right. And they're just calling it hemp. To me, it's really marijuana varieties that are high in CBD.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, I mean, true hemp that you're growing for the fiber usually has like maybe 1-2% CBD. That's typical, you know? So, I mean, they're growing stuff that's in the teens or maybe 20%
Yeah.
CBD. So it's
Yes.
kind of weird for me to hear them calling it hemp.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too many places that are actually growing it for the fiber. You know, I'm sure there are,
Yeah.
but
Maybe in Kentucky.
you know, it's an incredible labor-intensive thing to process that, and that's fine when you're, you know, some little town in Turkey or something. But you know, the production, the competition you have from regular fiber here, it's going to be really tough. Oh, this is Skywalker, huh?
Yeah.
The roots look good on that one. They're coming out the sides.
Yeah, this is more like what you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one, huh?
Cool.
And
Vigorous root development.
See, these are nice and white
Oh,
also.
okay.
Yeah, the
I mean,
color.
those other ones, I'm not so sure they're going to make it.
All right.
They probably will, because I mean, cannabis is just a real survivor.
Yeah.
It's a weed, right?
Amazing
Well,
plant.
To some people, it is. To others, it's a savior.
Well, it grows as a weed.
All right, that's a little too deep.
Too deep.
No, that's okay.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so-
all right.
Novice here.
All right,
Black thumb.
black thumb. Okay, but let's really want to make sure that anything that those roots touches is nice and moist.
Okay, cool.
Right? We'll want to put this in because you'll never remember.
Never. Not
No,
in a million years.
I never do. Well, I remember. I just get confused between them.
Between this one was this and this was this. It's one of those. One of those.
We have our garden.
Again, you can just feel the weight. Oh yeah. See, these are right. Oh, these are really heavy. Yeah.
Okay.
So these are well watered. You're not going to need to water these for probably a week
All right.
because
And I can use hose water.
yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll do fine now.
I like hose water. Hose water's good.
Right. It's a lot easier than going and buying that other stuff, right?
Are you participating in any research studies now?
No, what I'm doing now is I'm providing content for Green Flower Media.
Right.
That's pretty much what I'm doing other than my own stuff. I also work, advise Clade 9. In fact, they're building out a new grow here in southeast LA, which
yeah?
I'm real happy about
Nice.
because, you know, they have places in Vegas and in Phoenix, but they're from this area, so they're real happy about coming back
That's
here now.
great. in Southeast LA. That'll
I'm real
be a
happy
good,
about it because I'll be able to do some breeding right here. you know,
Right,
Right. So that's
right.
pretty exciting.
Very
But I
exciting.
do my own little breeding also. I mean, I always do. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a cultivar that is a 1-to-1 that's high in alpha pinene,
Mm-hmm.
linalool, and myrcene.
good luck.
How do we find such an animal?
Well, I would start with a diesel. The diesel that I grew came out almost 50-50. It was like 8.7. And
That's
you know,
fine.
I don't remember seeing the terpene profile on it.
Uh-huh.
I'd have to go back through my papers and see what it had. Of course, it'll have myrcene. They all have myrcene. You know, I mean, it's what they train dogs to smell.
Okay,
Right? It
okay.
wasn't. Cannabinoids don't have any fragrance.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. Yeah, I just have to see the
Yeah.
profile, but I actually have some of those feminized.
Yeah, because those would be really great for people living with dementia
Uh-huh.
and people trying to prevent dementia.
Okay.
At least it seems. I have a research book this thick that shows all the studies that show that cannabis helps
Right.
dementia because cannabis helps dementia.
Okay.
But they're not so
You know,
much
there's
looking into
another
those
book you
things
should
anymore.
you should probably get, which is it's not current. It's really a collection of all the or many of the medical papers that were done before the Tax Act.
Ooh,
right?
ooh,
All right,
yes,
and
I would like that
that's
book.
by Dr. Todd McArea.
Oh yes, Dr. Todd
and it's
McArea.
called the Marijuana Medical Papers, I
Yes.
believe. Right.
Yeah,
You know,
And
Dr.
that's
Todd
okay. And
McArea.
You can find it.
Uh-huh.
You guys look for it maybe on eBay or something.
yeah.
Or the,
And Dr.
Or
Todd
Amazon.
McArea is the
And Amazon.
Yeah.
co-founder of the Society of Cannabis Clinicians.
Gotta get it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a member of the
He-
outreach committee of the Society of Cannabis
Really?
Clinicians.
Oh,
yes.
great. Yeah. No, Todd, I mean, that was one of my regrets in life, and I don't have too many of them,
Mm-hmm.
but that I didn't work with Todd some, you know.
Yeah.
When he came, I mean, my book had just been published. He came over to my place and we talked and stuff, but,
Yeah.
you know, I was interested in, you know, potency and developing
Right.
really great stuff. And,
Right.
and so the medical was like way in the background for me.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now folks coming up are also finding that to be lacking in a way also. Like they get in for potency
Mm-hmm. Right.
and all this, oh, rah, rah, rah. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. The fastest growing demographic using cannabis today are older people.
Right.
And they need it for medical reasons.
Yeah, you know, and one of the reasons is when you're old, you start to collect little infirmities. You know,
Yes.
you have this pain here or this, or you got arthritis or something else.
Yeah.
So sure, yeah, that's who calls me. It's always people who are like 60 on up. you know?
Sure, sure. Well, we are the fastest growing demographic, and
Yeah.
we're the ones that are going to really sustain and bring cannabis out of
The dark.
the dark side. You know, that the bro hoodie,
Yeah.
you know, rah rah culture.
Right.
When more older people who use it for medicine come forward and say,
Right.
"Yo, we're using this for medicine. You need to normalize this. This
Yeah.
needs to be off the
Yeah.
Schedule 1. We need it." I mean, right now, 1 in 3 people live with some form of dementia. Soon it's going to be 1 in 2,
Really?
and it's going to bankrupt every single country
Yeah.
working
In
with
terms of
people living
care.
with dementia,
Yeah.
in terms of care. So we need to find some other way, and cannabis grows everywhere, and it's the best medicine, and it might even prevent some stuff. So
Do you think there will be an evolution of strain names, or do old people have to keep going in and asking for green crack?
You know, I always named mine Mexican 37. you know?
Right,
It was
right.
the 37th Mexican seed group that I was going to keep, right?
yes, yes.
What generation?
Right. So,
Right.
And
Location?
the only one that was different was Afghani 1, because I already had about 6 or 7 Afghanis, but it was easily the best one in terms of potency. So I just said Afghani 1 before I gave it to anybody.
Right,
I
right.
gave that to Skunk Man Sam too. Right?
Yes, yes. Well, what can you do? This has been a delightful
Okay.
encounter. I thank you so much for coming
Oh,
over and showing us
Be
what to
great
do.
Great to meet
Us
you guys.
super
And we-
novices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. Well,
thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
having me, guys.
Thank you so
It
much
was
for being
most
here.
enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Very
Can't
good.
wait
So
to
would you
see
like-
how all this comes out.
Absolutely, absolutely.